Poppy, stop falling in love with the shoes.
The shoes are going to break your heart.
Because they're going to break your heart, Poppy. Stop falling in love with every shoe. You can't possibly fall in love. You're going to make thousands of shoes, you know, and I can't help it. Every shoe that we make, if it's a shoe that we're going to go with, I fall in love with. I think shoes bring out a certain emotion in people because, you know, for instance, when I show someone, you know, one of our shoes, like their first instinct a lot of times is to pick it up and they feel it and they touch it and they want to even smell it, you know. And I don't think that's the case with, you know, clothes or garments as much. And I think, like, you know, for some reason shoes kind of bring out that emotion in people, and you know, that's kind of like the essence of like shoes, you know.
I think people are really emotional about shoes because not only is it comfort features and it's part of your daily wardrobe, but it's about, you know, your feet get the most, you know, weight put on them on a day-to-day basis. You got to take care of them, otherwise you're not going to feel well. You know, they supply so much energy to your body, so you got to feel right. You got to know that they look right. You got to know that they're comfortable. You got to know that you got the best shoes in the game. Otherwise,
yeah, it's not only just a statement piece; it's also about functionality. So you have to combine. You know, it's the first thing people usually see. You know, when you walk into a room is your shoes, or it's the last thing. So it leaves a lasting impression either way. But it's got to be something that's stylish. That, again, you know, like my brother said, also functions well and is comfortable. And you know, I think that's why shoes are so kind of like important to people.
Famous designers like Christian Louboutin, and all these people, they design with that in mind. You know, they design with like we do. You would design by thinking of a woman's body or a man walking on the street, how the line or the heel or how that will cut the foot and how that will shape a person's, you know, nature and walking and things like that.
You do so much with your shoes. You know, it could give you height. You could take a Timberland, you know, and you can wear your pants tucked inside, or you can wear your pants over it. You know, one is a fashion statement, one is the construction worker doing construction, you know, on the street. So again, it's just like, it's so versatile, and you can have so much fun with them. And I think people are a little bit more open to kind of like making a statement with their feet as opposed to their shirt or jeans, because for some reason they just feel more comfortable with it. And they're more comfortable with their shoes.
Shoes in its own in society, and then there's the whole shoe culture. It's a whole other beast of its own. You know, there's just people who are, I don't want to use the word fanatic because it's not a good word, but crazy about their shoes, and it's for a reason. You know, they're like think about what Michael Jordan did with Nike. You know, how important that is. How important it is for, you know, kids who camp out and wait for these certain shoes to be released, and spend, you know, their work money on it, and wait for them, and finally they're there, and the emotion that's brought out when they finally get them, and the release is made, and the shoe is out in public, and then the first people will have them, you know, and nobody else can get them. It's nothing like that feeling. Yeah. And only shoes can do that.
We had this idea to open it up. We couldn't really find shoe machinery so easily. My brother was browsing through the paper, looking for the machines, and one thing led to another. He ended up in Queens at one of the oldest skate manufacturing factories in the country, which is named Klingbeil. I thought he was absolutely crazy and was like, dude, I want nothing to do with making skates. I want to make these freaking sneakers. I want to make these shoes. And he said, no, dude, you gotta check this out. There's something special here. You know, and after, you know, going back and forth, I finally went out there and I saw what these guys were doing, and they were literally taking a piece of leather and making an ice skate. And they had all the best skaters in the world, from Syracuse and Sasha Cohn and all the new Olympians wearing their skates, and they were doing it in this crummy, you know, little place that hasn't been cleaned in 60 years. But the art and the craftsmanship that these guys, like, were, you know, the soul that they were putting into these shoes essentially was just so crazy that I bought into it. And you know, that place was actually shutting down and advertising that they were getting rid of their equipment, which is what led us there. So we decided to not only buy their equipment, but also take all of the skate boot makers and move them into this factory.
When I went over there, you know, we see this art these guys are creating, and people don't appreciate shoemaking as much as they should, because so much goes into it. You know, hours. You know, to really make a bench-made shoe is like 25 hours of labor, and that doesn't happen, you know, overnight. I could, but it's usually a 3-4 day process where a shoemaker comes in and does every different step of the shoemaking, whether it's attaching a welt or sewing on something, or doing a Goodyear stitch, or making a sole, whatever it may be. There's just so many steps involved from the pattern to finishing the shoe that it's really a craft. And these guys that were in Klingbao, which is the skating factory that we purchased and kept alive and moved from Jamaica, Queens to Midtown, Manhattan, New York, was irreplaceable in a way. These guys are, artists, and when we knew that we were going to be opening this place, we couldn't let that place go out. It didn't make sense, logically. How could we be trying to open a factory and this neighbor across the borough is going out of business? So we actually met Don, who was the owner, and talked to him and made a business deal where he said, you're not going to close down. You're not going to go out of business. You're going to come with us. We're going to fight through this, and we're going to survive, because this art can't die in America. Not enough people are doing it. We're not enough of us are making things with our hands, and we should be.
I tried to be an artist, and I played music, and I wrote poems, and I read the great poets, and I kind of lost touch with all that.
Great American literary.
Yeah, you didn't know that. If you read my emails, you would really understand. Anyway, so I kind of lost touch with all that stuff, and I never correlated any of that stuff with shoemaking or shoes until, honestly, in the last year or so. And now, I don't want to say shoes are art, but they kind of are, for us. And I kind of look at our shoes that way. It's I never really connected those dots, for me until recently, and I kind of really appreciate the design, process so much more now that I'm in the factory like this, and I really do look at shoes as a work of art. Each and every design, each and every shoe.
Both of our parents, our mother and our father, were in the shoe business, and my father's still in the shoe business. Our mom had a shoe store in Long Island. Our father had a shoe factory in New York and Brooklyn, and it's amazing how, whether it was when we were 10 years old and we were around shoes, or 18 years old, or Jordan first really being involved with shoes, I think we're around as a business at 25 years old. So it's amazing how as you grow and as your life develops and as things evolve, and your day-to-day, your life.
You go back to your roots.
Yeah, you go back to your roots.
And some people call it a calling, but maybe
you never know when that's going to come out of you. But it's embedded in you because it's DNA.
I wasn't one of those kids growing up that was obsessed with shoes. I just wasn't like that. And over the years, now I'm completely obsessed with them in every way possible. But I didn't even realize how much shoes actually meant to people until the last couple of years. I mean, we get emails from people literally, talking about how, a bright fuchsia, suede, Benny shoe that we make has made their day. Or it's even I've gotten emails about people who talk about how their shoes have taken them out of depression, and it's an emotional, I guess,
feels good for us.
Great thing, and there's a connection, people have from their heart, soul to their shoes. It's there's a reason why people they might buy clothes that cost a couple $100, but they'll go spend $1,500 in a shoe.
When you're creating a shoe, it's like creating the perfect performance, and that's what we live for. When we go, I don't want to say to you that I'd be lying if I said to you that I don't smile or live for when people are satisfied with our product. That is what we live for. When we get that letter from a customer or an email, or when we see that satisfaction on their face when they try on our shoes and they love them and they fit and they're comfortable and they're right, and it's something they've been waiting for and wanting and saved for and finally was able to buy or get, or maybe they got a gift or whatever it may have been. It's the ultimate satisfaction, and it's exactly parallel to how when an artist goes on stage and they get the crowd going crazy and they're singing their lyrics and they're going to the rhythm of the drum or the beat maker or the guy in the MPC in the back. It's the creators who get that satisfaction, because that's what they do. They need that to survive. It's like food and water for them.
One thing that Modern Vice has been known for is really making a shoe that when you see it, you really just want to pick it up and like I said before, kind of just graze your hand and figure out what that texture or material is. And I never when I imported shoes, I never had someone take a shoe and smell it. I never even thought about smelling a shoe, honestly. All of a sudden I'm here the last year and people see our shoes, they pick them up and they're like, smelling the shoe, and they're feeling it, and they're like, the sole, and what are you using, what kind of padding, and how is the inner sole, so soft, and there's cushion everywhere, and I think that's what Modern Vice is all about. It's about taking a lot of classic silhouettes and adding a little bit of an edge or a grittiness to it. Whether we do that purposely or whether we set out to do it or not, I think it happens kind of naturally and organically, just because we're sitting here in the garment center in the middle of Manhattan, a couple blocks in Times Square, running around like madmen, making these beautiful, shoes. So one way or another, they get that kind of edginess to it. But we're also, guys who've traveled the world, who know shoes, who kind of respect the classics and the masters, and that's also a big part of it. So we could take a classic, booty, and make it into this piece of art, but it's still got this kind of edginess and rawness to it, because it's really handmade in this factory in the middle of Manhattan.
When we design we design what we're feeling, and it's rare in fashion, but it's also important because it's raw and it's real. So everything that we do, we go on instinct, we go on gut. We take risks. We don't care what anyone thinks. We care what we think and what we think our customers will think and want. People may think that taking an American flag and making a shoe out of it would be crazy, but it's not an American flag. We're not. It's a beautiful Italian leather with an American flag embossed and printing on it, and it's vintage looking. So we take that and we take the risk of putting it on a shoe and turning that silhouette into something special that maybe a guy like a legend like Elvis Presley would have done. Something that the risk takers and the great creative people of our generations and the past generations do is they take chances, and that's what we do every day. We don't. There's no limit. There's no standard. There's nothing that we won't try. We're just constantly pushing the envelope to another level. Raising the bar.
Everything from the hardware to the cushion insole to the amazing, Italian leathers that we import from the best tanneries in the world. And then of course there's the styling and the design. We're heavily into design and art.
It's about constantly creating new ideas, creating new lines, new styles, using different heel heights, different wedges, different leathers, different materials, painting soles, using different shoelaces. So many different things go into it, and when you work overseas, or unless you're really in the factory, the innovation isn't there as much.
For us, it doesn't matter when it comes to MVC. It's not about really just the money all the time. It's about putting a product out there that people connect with, that causes some kind of emotion that they want to touch, that they want to be involved with. They believe it. Like a lot of people, when they buy Modern Vice, they tell me, or they email me and they say, like, I really feel like I'm buying into something. It's not just a shoe anymore. We let people into our factory. We connect, with them through social media, and now we've shared this process and this lost art of shoemaking with people who never even thought about it before. And we let the factory workers talk to our customers and people that are part of the brand, and that's just kind of what we're about.
This all wouldn't be possible without the fans who support us, and without the people behind us, each other, our design, our what do they call our little design team, which is Jordan, myself, father, people around us, David influence, Len's an influence, Louis an influence, the shoemakers. We all have fingerprints on these shoes and a little bit of our DNA on each shoe, and that's because our heart and soul is in every single one of them. And it just wouldn't happen without that support, without the team behind it, and we're grateful for that. I don't think we'd go to war, or at least we haven't gone to war in a long time, with no footwear or something protecting our feet. So the most important thing is to protect our body. You got to start with the feet. So that's why shoes are so important.
In our own heads, we have a very clear definition of who's going to buy a Modern Vice shoe.
It's an attitude too.
It's an attitude.
It's not
someone who thinks outside the box.
You got a lot of people in the fashion world, and we've been around, worked with some companies. There's branding companies. There's these type of companies, and they try to put you in a box and they try to say, who's your girl? Who's your target customer? They're everyone. There is no target customer. We make shoes for everybody. We want them to appeal to anybody and everybody, whether it's a a 13-year-old girl who's aspiring to look like a celebrity or a
buy her
superstar,
wedge, sneaker,
or it's
all the way
a
up.
45-year-old woman who wants a comfort loafer flat that has foam inside. We aspire to make shoes that everybody's going to want. And it's a tall task, but we tackle it every day.